Welcome into the Paul Kuharksy podcast. I am Paul Kuharksy of paulkuharksy.com. I like to say my name 3 times at the beginning. I'm part of the 440 Sports Network. I'm brought to you by VIP Play, and I am proud again to be partnered with Edley's Barbecue. I have been in East Nashville. I have been in Franklin, and I am ecstatic today to be in 12 South. The Edleys that started it for me. Back in the old days with the Midday 180, we broadcasted from here several times. We broadcasted from Sylvan Park, so I got to put that on my broadcast list next. But Will Newman, a good friend of the podcast and a good friend of the site, graciously has agreed to partner again with us. I hope you will come to one of his restaurants for fine barbecue dining. It's the best place in town. It is all over and in town. We will talk more about them and about him, but you cannot go wrong. Smell it. Just smell it. It is terrific, terrific food. It's a terrific lunch out. It's a terrific night out. Business, family, solo. Come sit in the bar where I am, where Katie is taking terrific care of me. Cheers to all involved. I'm looking forward to spending another season at Edley's. Time during the season still to be determined. I've got a new schedule from Brian Callahan that I'm not positive what it's going to look like. And as some of you know, I will be leaving here at 12 South, which is an exceptionally convenient location for me, to go and teach my first class at Belmont University tonight, which happens to be down the street and around the corner. So I'm part of the journalism department as an adjunct professor. Looking forward to getting to meet a lot of very interesting kids tonight for a double class. I teach from 3:30 to 6:15 on Thursday nights. So I'm very excited about that. We are going to talk about Cameron Ward's pre-usage of leverage, about L'Jarius Sneed's status as he returns to some action, about the punt return job and how the Titans are managing that. I'm a little skeptical about offensive line anger and meanness and if it's important, about the one Titan, and we'll start with this, who I think is falling behind and going unnoticed, about inside linebacker, who's going to win that job and why still it may not be that big of a deal. And we're going to take all of your questions, of which I imagine there will be many. I appreciate you guys showing up. Sergey, Dwayne, Doris, Kent, Trevor, Adam, Josh, Lee, Robert, my man Robert. I appreciate all of you and people coming in. Jordan. Let's get going. The guy who's fallen behind, who we're not talking about, I'm thinking you could guess who it is. But we have not talked about him. T'Vondre Sweat, early in camp, had an abdominal muscle issue that cost him the first 3 padded practices plus. And then was missing. I don't remember if he practiced in Tampa Bay or not, but he missed Atlanta. Pending a tonsillectomy that he came back to Nashville for, and he's missed since, waiting for clearance to come back. Now, a good thing about a tonsillectomy is that while you eat a lot of ice cream, you are not particularly anxious to eat a lot of other food that scratches your tender throat. And I think he lost some weight during this process. But I think too many people have just presumed that T'Vondre Sweat, off a pretty good, not great rookie year, where the weight issue and the I don't want to say mental strength, I'll say the discipline concerns that he came out of college with that kept some people away from him, that made some people think maybe he was drafted a little high at 38. We think that those issues, because his freshman year, his rookie year, was on a pretty good track, are behind him. And we don't know if they're behind him. Are they behind him? We haven't seen him on the field. We talked to him about having lost some weight when he arrived. But now he's not been running on any sort of daily basis with the injury and the tonsillectomy. His food intake has probably not been monitored to the degree that the Titans can monitor it before the tonsillectomy. We don't know anything about his commitment and all of those things. And I think for people who are just presuming that because T'Vondre Sweat fared pretty well last year as a run stuffer and pledged to get better as a pass rusher, and the team said T'Vondre Sweat's next step is to be better as a pass rusher, a lot of people are penciling him in and saying, well, Simmons and Sweat, the 1-2 punch, and everything's going to be just fine in the interior of the defensive line. Is it? I don't know. But is T'Vondre Sweat going to go and play the number of snaps that the Titans need him to play in the altitude of Denver on September, 7th, automatically? When the Titans are, not that far away. It's the 21st. So he's got 2 weeks and 3 days to get there. I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in that at this point. And we've ignored that really as an issue. I haven't gotten to it. I'm getting to it now. I would put that on the list of question marks for this team right now, and it's a question mark they don't need to have. L'Jarius Sneed, we know, is a question mark. L'Jarius Sneed coming very slowly back from this knee. Look, I asked him outright, you said at summer camp where you were, you're as healthy as you've been. And then, 3-4 weeks later, you show up here, you're on PUP, and it takes you all this time until yesterday to come off PUP and jog around with the cornerbacks at practice. How do we sync up those two things? How do we sync up the fact that you said you're as healthy as you've been and the Titans have sat you for all of this time? And he said, look, it's not me, it's them. Famous George Costanza. It's not me. It's not you, it's me. Actually, he's inverted it. Sorry. They're being super careful with him. And look, the Titans said all along last year, Rand Carthon said it, but Chad Brinker said it too. He is going to be ready on Sundays, and we don't need to see him during the week. We just need to maintain him during the week. He'll do what he can do, but ultimately what he can do is he's going to prove to us on Sundays, and we're not worried about during the week. And there are guys like that around the league who you have to manage, who you will take just what they can do on Sundays. What can he do on Sundays? What are we going to see from him in Denver? Well, Darrell Baker, who was his replacement, is not playing very well right now. Fortunately, Marcus Harris is playing well right now, the 6th-round draft pick. The Titans are not deep at corner. Their 4 undrafted corners have not been very good. The veteran from Dallas who's had 6 picks one season, I don't know how. He's not good at all. Long arms, and he's got the look. Amani, forget his last name, which I struggle to pronounce when I remember it, but he's a very forgettable player. He's not good. Gabe Giuliani is inside, behind McCreary, out of necessity. I don't think he's having as good a camp as he had last year. But I felt good about the corner depth coming in because I think Denard Walker is good at developing corners, good at getting the most out of corners, but Baker's sinking. Those 4 undrafted rookies have not flashed. Judy Lawley's out of necessity inside. I like him better outside. And you have no idea what you're going to get out of Sneed. Now, we were joking in the press room. Easton Freeze actually had the best line. He said that Sneed had given us, in response to a question that I asked, one of these could come back to haunt you kind of quotes. And here it is. I asked what people are going to see from him opening day.
You'll see. You'll see. When it's time for them lights to come on, you'll see a whole different L'Jarius Sneed.
When it's time for the lights to come on, you'll see a whole different L'Jarius Sneed. Now, he goes 2-3 weeks and we see a bad L'Jarius Sneed. That's the kind of quote that leads a story, right? You'll see a whole different L'Jarius Sneed. What if we see L'Jarius Sneed that's not very good? It looks like a guy that hasn't played in a long time. Looks like a guy who's got a bad knee. You can't count on anything from L'Jarius Sneed until you see something from L'Jarius Sneed. And those of you who know me, those of you who follow me for a long time, know this is my basic philosophy. I'm not going to anticipate something oftentimes that there's no reason to anticipate until we see it. I'm not going to presume that Cam Ward is going to be an electric rookie until I see him be an electric rookie, because most of the time, rookie quarterbacks aren't electric. Jaden Daniels is an exception. C.J. Stroud is an exception. Most rookies struggle. So there are a lot of reasons to have good hopes for Cam Ward, but there are more reasons to expect that Cam Ward will struggle. There are not a lot of reasons to have high expectations for L'Jarius Sneed. He played 5 games last year. He wasn't particularly good in those 5 games, and he disappeared. At least he says his quad is not an issue anymore. It's only the knee. To his legal stuff, I will say this. In the civil case related to his criminal charges from this shooting in December, his lawyer had to give Sneed's account, had to answer to the accusation. And he said, if something happened, it wasn't Sneed. It was John Doe. It was John Doe. John Doe at the time was unidentified. John Doe has since been identified as Takanze Williams, who was still on LinkedIn, says he's Sneed's personal assistant since January 2022. I talked to Sneed about him. He said, I got nothing to do with the guy anymore. Sneed basically said in these court documents through his lawyer, it wasn't me, it was him. And it was not at my direction, not from my influence, nothing. If there were shots fired out of this G-Wagon at this dealership towards this guy who's suing me civilly, who the police are charging me with aggravated assault with a battery weapon, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a felony charge, those charges are not about me. They're about this other guy. This other guy did it. Well, it turns out after hashing through the stuff yesterday, which was very difficult to arm wrestle, officials agree. What he is now being charged with, L'Jarius Sneed, and what is going to a grand jury, which seems to me weird. I'm not a court expert, obviously. It seems to me felonies generally go to a grand jury and misdemeanors don't. This is a misdemeanor. But what he's being charged with now is failure to report. You have an obligation in the state of Texas to, if you see somebody commit this kind of felonious act, firing a deadly weapon at somebody that could cause bodily harm or death, you have to say so. So that L'Jarius Sneed was allegedly in this car where this guy allegedly fired shots that could have killed somebody, and he didn't call the police. That's a crime. That's a crime. That's going to be, the evidence is going to be taken to the grand jury. If they indict him, then he'll be judged as to whether he's guilty of that. If he's guilty of that, maximum penalty is a year in jail or a $4,000 fine. We know we very unlikely to get a year in jail. Probably going to end up on probation if he's guilty. It was a far lesser crime than his friend allegedly committed by shooting out of this car. So that's the Sneed situation. Let's dive into some of your questions here. Been waiting all week for a new episode, Doris. It's very kind of you. Good to see all of you, as I said at the beginning. Bachelorette Party, Recovery Avenue, a.k.a. 12 South. I don't know if they're recovering at 1:47 p.m. on a Thursday, but am I going to be a paper deadline extension or tough love professor? I will lean more towards tough love. Journalism is a deadline business. Be kind. Talking about T-Sweat. Well, T-Sweat plays well. T-Sweat gets talked up. T-Sweat doesn't play well. T-Sweat gets honest reviews. Bryce Oliver should get run as the number 2. He's not going to get run as the number 2. Now, I think there's a case to be made for him getting run as the number 4, but I don't think that's going to happen. Robert Draper, my man. Fossil saying Jackson is front runner for the punt return job is just a way of saying no one has distinguished himself. So we're inclined to go with the devil we know, right? Well, he didn't say he's the front runner. I asked him to explain why he's at the front of the line. Now, part of the reason, and he said seniority, which is a ridiculous answer, right? You go seniority to a degree, but you can't go seniority with the guy that's not going to make the team. Jaquan Jackson is not going to make the team. I mean, the 7th receiver on this team right now is James Prochet. The 8th receiver, Jaquan Jackson could make a case there. Landers could have made a case before he got hurt. Sheffield, Restrepo. I mean, there's some bad receivers at the back end of that. But they're not keeping more than 7. And the thing is, if you kept 7 and 7 is Restrepo, 7's not going to be Restrepo. If you kept 7 and 7 was Prochet would be making it because he's your punt returner. Your punt returner would be active on game day, so then he's technically your 6th. And your 6th is technically your 7th, and you have to deactivate probably that 7th. Oliver has to play. He's your best gunner, one of your best special teamers. So now you're talking about deactivating DK. They don't want to deactivate DK. So it's very twisted, the punt returner thing. I think DK should be getting all of the punt return snaps that you can give him in order for him to get the experience that he needs to get in order to do that job. I think the reason that he's not doing it in Atlanta is because they're saying, hey, we want you to focus purely on receiver and we don't want to overload you. So focus purely on the receiver. But in the meantime, why are you giving the snaps to Jaquan Jackson? I mean, just Jaquan Jackson lost that job very, very clearly last year. You're not recycling that. So it doesn't make much sense to me at all. I think it's kind of a foolish approach unless they have confidence behind the scenes. I think there's certainly people in the building that want DK to win that job. And if it's not DK, that Spears, but Spears is hurt. So I don't know what happens there. I don't think there's a lot of room for Prochet. And I don't think Jackson has a chance of making the roster. Rooney Glover. Helm looking good. I said it last week. I mean, it's not hard to predict that Helm looks good. But while you mention him, let's hear from the offensive coordinator. Here is Nick Holtz on Gunnar Helm.
Gunner's really done a great job from the standpoint of handles everything mentally. Tight end's a really tough position to play because you're so involved in the run game and you still have all the same, pass responsibilities as a receiver. So he's done a really nice job there. I think go back to like the Tampa preseason game was the first time really he got the block live, kind of to the whistle. And you saw down the goal line, really he had some great blocks, and you got the one for the Pollard touchdown. You really watched him kind of cave in that right side, and he even kind of got buckled a little bit, but his pad level was so good he was able to finish. And I think that's really been, watching from his college tape to now, he's really become, we're asking, I'm not saying Texas, he wasn't physical at Texas. They just didn't ask him to do some of the same things we're asking. And he's really kind of answered the bell of being not just a receiving tight end. He's been really all-encompassing.
I think he's worth being excited about for sure. That touchdown catch is terrific. Throw him a couple balls like that a game. They don't have to be tight squeeze balls like that, but if they have to be tight squeeze balls like that, he's shown himself capable of handling that. Look, I'm back at Edley's Barbecue. You know how much I love this place. Fried ribs are fantastic. Will Newman is a terrific human being. This is a small business, a mom and pop barbecue shop that's expanded through Middle Tennessee and around Middle Tennessee. They don't cut corners. They make their sides from scratch, and they welcome everybody as if they're coming to their home. I've mentioned Katie here, who, was expecting me and has treated me like royalty since I got here, filling up my Diet Coke, making sure that I don't want food. Yeah, I really do want food. I don't have time or capacity in my stomach right now. I wish that I did. I will be back soon. You should be here. Take advantage of the hospitality. Enjoy this delicious food. We'll name the restaurant after his grandfather. And oftentimes when I've broadcasted in Franklin, you've seen the picture of his grandfather over my shoulder. I love that homey touch. I mean, that's the kind of place we Nashvillians love, right? He's operated as a tribute to all things Southern since day one. It's Nashville-style barbecue, which they've largely invented, and we will talk more about. And we'll get to that throughout this season of our second season of our partnership together. Will Newman, terrific guy. Edley's named after his grandfather, makes spectacular food. There's nothing bad on the menu here. Half the time I get the avocado plate, which is just unbelievable. You get any kind of meat you want piled on there. A terrific avocado, bean salad, barbecue sauce. God, it's just unbelievable. Make an effort to make an extra trip to Edley's sometime soon. Bring your kids, bring your wife, bring your girlfriend, bring your buddies from the office. Get that gooey butter bar for dessert. It's terrific. Edley's Barbecue. Find one near you. There's one not far away. They're great to me. I hope you'll be great to them. And on we go. What else is on your mind? Comments rolling in. I appreciate it very much. For some reason, Jordan Pace says, my client doesn't know nothing about the cockfighting. That's not how it went down. That was Pack himself said, I don't know nothing about no cockfighting. I wouldn't put Sneed in the Pac-Man Jones department. Sneed says, wait until the lights come on and we'll see. They don't have any night games this year, so is he hinting that we won't be seeing much? That's pretty clever, MP2. They turn the lights on for all games, so the lights are on for day games. They really are. Happy Thursday, Kane says. We're taking our son to his first Titans game in Denver, week 1. Any advice on the best way to possibly get some autographs for him pre or post game? DM me, Kane, and I'll see if I can help you out a little bit. Do I know if I have super chats set up for YouTube? I'm pretty sure I don't, Doris. I will write that down. Let's see if I can do that. Do I want that? Reports indicate that Cam is starting to heat up. Any validity to that? Cam's feet are still messy at times. And heat up? I mean, he's had 2 practices since a game in which I thought he was pretty inaccurate in 2 for 7. He had a drop or 2 there. I mean, we went over the Jefferson pass like crazy, which is Jefferson's fault. But, he threw one ball to Chim that was low that maybe was where it needed to be. But 2 balls to Isle Manor that I thought were unnecessarily high. So I wouldn't particularly, heated up since then. I don't know that I'd categorize it as him heating up since then. I don't see it that way. But also, I mean, I don't think the last 2 days are particularly relevant in some big way to his current story. Let's retweet, if you will. And if you're watching on Twitter, please give it a heart. If you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up. Be sure you're subscribed there. That's terrific. If you're a member, I can get you in a situation where you can get a text alert every time I go live on here. It's another bonus of membership, $7.50 a month. Have a lot of good stuff coming. A new film review element that is going to be terrific. Mike Herndon, more frequency, and Blake Bedingfield, whose scouting reviews of the 2 preseason games I think have been really spectacular. Do I own a copy of Justin Mellow's Titans of the South book, Phil? Yes, I do. He was kind enough to send me one, and I certainly enjoyed paging through that. Gave it my full endorsement. Jim says, great show as always. Based off what I've seen of Cam, do I feel he's grasped this offense well enough to move the offense down the field his first year? Sometimes he's going to move the offense down the field his first year, yeah. Sometimes they're going to stall. Depends on game plans. Depends on defenses. It depends on how many A throws he makes versus how many F throws he makes. I wrote a story early this preseason about them grading throws. And I think Callahan said you need maybe 5 A throws to win a game. Well, the thing is, you can make 5 A throws in a game, but if you offset them with 2 F throws, then you've made 3 A throws, really, right? Because you're offsetting them with bad throws. So it's about the decision making. It's about all the same things it was about with Levis: decision making, accuracy. How good can he be at that? And here's one of the things I've been talking about a lot lately is there are going to be defenses that he sees, sets that he sees, movement that he sees that he does not recognize or understand. What does he do in those circumstances? Now, the thing that threw certain quarterbacks in their first year, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels immediately come to mind, who have been able to take those situations, which should be big negatives, and run and get 40-yard run. So on the plays that they do recognize, they executed very well in the passing game. And on the plays that they don't recognize, they took a decent share of those and turned them into positives. Negative pass plays in terms of not recognizing, not knowing what to do, and being stuck, turned it into a positive in terms of running play. Cam Ward is not that kind of runner. So does he dirt the ball in those situations? Does he throw the ball away? Do the Titans end up just losing it down, which is something that you could survive, but is going to hurt you? Or does he occasionally force something in those situations that turns into something bad? That's a big part of the equation to me. Yeah, look, I think the waiver claim thing Bo is asking about, could it be a big deal on 2 or 3 guys that are popular around the league? Yeah. Are there a ton of guys that hit waivers that only one team claims? Yes. So if the Titans claim a guy and nobody else claims a guy, it's great that they were first. But if they were 15th, they would have got him. If they were 32nd, they would have got him. So I think it tends to be overdone. Do the Titans keep both often injured Spears and a so far unimpressive rookie running back from Michigan? I mean, it's unquestioned that they're keeping Tajay Spears. Unquestioned. And I think it's unquestioned that they're keeping Khalil Mullings. He's just a developmental guy who's probably not, I would think he'd be inactive early. I mean, he's not going to be in the game in any pass protecting situations at the beginning. And, I could see them trying maybe to replace Julius Chestnut as the 3. Titans making any trades, in my opinion. Not any trades that cost them anything of substance. The Titans are about gathering and sustaining draft picks. Do I think the Titans will likely try to find a legitimate third down option running back to replace Spears? That's not Mullings' forte, even excusing his spotty performance thus far. I think the Titans may be in the market for a running back, certainly a waiver claim running back. I think, and I think that's about more than Spears' injury. I think the Titans. I don't know if the Titans know what they have at running back in totality and necessarily in Pollard yet right now with this improved offensive line. And maybe they are compelled to add a guy who could be a 3-down running back to bulk up the group. Thank you for the compliment, Phil, about my honesty, which isn't necessarily negativity. Where do I stand on the edge room? Who could they add to change the floor and the ceiling of that room? I mean, look, Matthew Judon, Preston Smith, Darius Smith all seem like, reasonable chances to take on a veteran. Obviously, money is an issue. Obviously, them being in a place where they feel like they'll get an opportunity and a chance to win is a thing. But I can also see, saying we want Oladejo to have a chance to play and and grow. We'll take our lumps there to a degree. The thing is, I mean, Draymond Jones, Arden Key, and Oladejo are certainly not a great trio. After that, Ali Gay, Desmond, he inside or outside. I mean, Justin Harrell and Ali Gay are really not going to give you much. So they need a fourth. I mean, they got to find that fourth on the waiver, somebody with more promise than those two guys. I don't think they're going to make a move with one of those bigger money guys over 30. It's just not who they are right now. Who's ahead in the battle for inside linebacker, Gray or Williams? I was saying this morning on 102.5 The Game with Robbie. Gowdy, Rex Rhodes out. I'll be on that show, by the way, Friday morning, the entire show with Robbie, 6 to 9. I think Gray's ahead. I think Gray's more reliable in the box, and stopping the run's a big key for them. I think Williams a little better in coverage, but Barton should be good in coverage. I think, though, and I didn't expound on this, I will expound on it here. I think that the inside linebacker who plays beside Cody Barton, is not necessarily. First off, he's the first guy off the field in a lot of instances. All right, a defensive lineman will come off, an inside linebacker will come off, nickel, dime. But if they truly believe that their next best player is Winston or Diggs, who I now think maybe has more of a chance of being around than I thought when he arrived, I think that they could play three safeties and have one of those safeties drop down and play as that linebacker. And so Cedric Gray could win that job, but Cedric Gray could yield to a safety maybe more often than we're considering. And I would be just fine with that if they judge him to be a better football player and if they're fine with the matchups that would create. If it's a more of a coverage situation and that safety down in the box is going to be covering a running back or a tight end, he's going to cover him better if he can handle the physical matchup. He's going to cover him better than Cedric Gray could. So I'd be just fine with that. Scott asks, do I feel the offensive line is much improved, some improved, a little improved, or not improved? It's definitely some improved, and it may be much improved. I mean, I think last year's weak spots are less weak. The reason you can't just go all in and say it is because we haven't seen them against anything legitimate. Offensive line's done very well in one-on-ones against the Titans defenders, and offensive line shouldn't do that well in one-on-ones just by the nature of the drill. So are they doing impressive work on that? Yes. Are they doing it against good people? No. In these games, Tampa Bay didn't play their four main guys. Atlanta, didn't play people and doesn't have, Atlanta's traditionally horrible pass rushing team that's constantly working at it. Here's Nick Holtz on offensive line improvement.
I think we are generally ahead of the curve assignment-wise, obviously. I think we are so much further in communication, especially with having Corey and now getting Lloyd back, of really a year in it, recognizing all these things, knowing all our kind of answers that way. And then, I think we're ahead, but, it's kind of time will tell. You know what I mean? We're going to go get some pretty good defenses here coming up, and those rushers are going to be kind of the real challenge, and that's where you really evaluate yourself. But
so, I mean, communication improvement, all of that stuff. Cushenberry hasn't been there, but he's a veteran center who knows how to communicate. He's going to take some of the calls and the communication off of Ward. So that'll loosen things up some. Here, by the way, is Denard Wilson on the inside linebackers that we've been talking about.
Yeah, well, it's still, we have a few more days. We have this practice, and then we have actually have a preseason game coming up. So, everything's still on the table. We haven't decided on which direction we're going, but right now they're still competing, and that's just like every young man on this roster. It's like you don't take a play for granted, you don't take a game for granted, a day for granted. So they all just competing, and we'll see how it shakes out when we, make the final roster.
Did it belong to Williams, and did he do something where they said, you know what, we got to give Gray a chance? Or was their intention all along like, hey, we're going to give Williams a long run, and then we'll give Said a chance? I don't know. It seemed like a strange approach from the beginning for Williams to be in there so long. Any chance Spears goes on PUP, John asks. If so, does Mims take his spot temporarily? I think Mims is a practice squad guy at best. I think there is a chance that Spears starts on a list. Don't know for sure, though. If it's 2 weeks into the regular season with a chance of 3, then do you sacrifice the 4th week? I don't know. But it's not out of the question. It's not a bad question. With both Sneed and Cushenberry ramping up, do I envision both available week 1 or one more than the other? I think Cushenberry has a very good chance of being ready for week 1. Sneed is much more of a mystery, but the way he and the team are talking, I would picture him available too. I would think Cushenberry is more likely to play close to a full game or a full game. I would think Sneed can't handle the full workload. I would think T'Vondre Sweat, who I started with, cannot handle the full workload. Michael asked about Femi Oladeju, super athletic, but he seems to be a long-term project. Is that what the coaches are thinking? I wrote about this decision. Like, if you're in a key 3rd down in a game that's in the balance, and you're the coaches, who do you want to be your ends on a key 3rd down? Your edges. I would want Draymond Jones and Arden Key. And Draymond Jones and Arden Key aren't great. They're just 2 rushers on your team who have proven to be the most effective rushers over time. Femi Oladejo has not had moments where you say, oh, he's capable of a big burst that could provide the game-changing play here. He's much more likely to get washed. Now, let's listen to – this is working out nicely. I had a lot of these files ready. Let's listen to Denard Wilson talk about Femi. Listen real closely to the way he talks about him, to the game plan element.
He maybe didn't flash, but he set the edge. He was violent. He made a lot of good tackles. He collapsed the pocket. So he did things fundamentally that we're looking for. The plays are going to come. All right, the plays will come, especially as we game plan and we do things to help him out. Femi has had an outstanding camp, and he's still getting better. He's learning every day as well. He's still a rookie.
The plays will come as we game plan. I mean, you find that reassuring? I mean, maybe. I trust Denard Wilson on the back end for sure. Titans haven't proven they can rush the passer with the level of personnel they had last year or this year. This year we don't have much to go on. Plays are going to come. I don't know. Maybe the plays will come. I think he's a slower project. I think, if this year he's going to make an impact, I think it's going to be later. Like halfway into the season. Like 2/3, 3/4 of the way into the season. VIP Play is the premier betting service you are going to find. They make everybody play and feel like a VIP. Sign up for a year of paulkuharksy.com. I'll give you a code for VIP Play that will give you bet insurance for your first bet up to $1,000. That is an enormous bonus. You go there, maybe $1,000 is a little rich for your blood. 750, 500, 250, whatever. You go there. Your first bet with the code I'll give you is insured. Everybody's got a bet they feel damn confident about, right? You go there, you hit on that, you bankrolled at VIP Play for a good while. Who doesn't want their account bankrolled? I hit on a Georgetown Creighton bet at another site early. I'm on my early bet, and I'm still betting $5 and $10 once in a while based off of that money. That's what you could be doing here with an offer like this. So you ought to head over there and check this out. Give this a chance. VIP Play is just an awesome site. You ought to check them out. Sign up for a year, paulkuharksky.com. Steal at $81, 10% off. Like I said, a lot of big things coming this season. If you're not a member, you're missing out on a lot of details and a lot of insight that you can learn about this team. We've got over 1,300 people in here. I know you like the conversation. You like the discussion. A lot of it has its roots in what I write, what Blake writes, what Mike is going to write, what this new film element is going to bring, all for the price of a cocktail or a cup of coffee. So come join and then be part of VIP Play. They treat me like royalty, and they will treat you like royalty. That is their whole MO, their whole modus operandi. So you got to get over there and check them out for sure. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 and over in Tennessee to bet. Back to your questions. Doris just bought a house in Jonesboro, Tennessee. Have I ever been? Not only have I not been, Doris, I would have trouble finding Jonesboro on a map. I am very much a urban snob. I know Nashville and I know the direct suburbs, but I'm sure Jonesboro is lovely. And I wish you well there. Where are you going to Jonesboro from? Phil says, I thought it was trust the player, not the play. It feels like the Titans are banking on the play. Says a lot about the players, I guess. I'm not sure what context this is coming from. It is about the players more than it is about the plays. But you get the players and then you create plays that fit the players, and you count on both in together to make things work. Now, I will say the Titans need more pop. Cedric Gray is in good standing right now because he made plays that popped. Who else has made plays this preseason, in the games in particular, but generally that have popped? Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley has popped. Gunnar Helm has made some plays that have popped. Cedric Gray has made some plays that have popped. Cody Barton maybe has made some plays that have popped. Who else? It's a very short list. There's not a lot that has popped. Simmons always makes some plays that have popped. It's not enough. Not enough of those plays, not enough of guys making those plays. And that's one of my big concerns about this team. And a lot of the flatness and the lack of electricity that I've written about is about that, this lack of pop. That's why Cedric Gray, everybody's abuzz about Cedric Gray. Cedric Gray flew through the damn middle of the line and sacked the quarterback. And it wasn't just a sack, it was something, right? Hey, did you see that play Cedric Gray made? Cedric Gray had an interception. It was undone by a penalty. Word is that the officials told Denard Wilson that it wasn't really a penalty. Hey, did you see that? How many times have we said, hey, did you see that? Hey, I got to see that again. The play we had to see again from the first team offense, in a lot of ways, from the last game, was Van Jefferson not catching the great throw from Cam Ward. Hey, did you see that? What happened with Van Jefferson on that play? It looked like an awfully good throw from Cam Ward. Wow. That's a pop in a different way, right? Amar, I don't know why you would think I need to have that, but I'm not going to have that, and I really don't need to. This Slappy is crazy. Do I think the Titans brass is tempted to keep Restrepo on the roster to make sure Cam is happy? Cam is happy. Cam is happy. Cam is campaigning already. Let's talk about this. It was one of my headlines, and I haven't gotten to it yet. He's saying he moved around a lot in college, and obviously he chose to do that, and that was what he needed to do to get himself where he got first pick in the draft. But he is ready now for some stability. He wants to help build stability around him with players and with coaches. And twice, really unsolicited. I guess one of the times he was asked about it because Teron Davenport was working on the ESPN story that came out about how poorly coaches have fared with number one pick quarterbacks from the draft. But a second time yesterday, unsolicited, talked about stability. He's pre-campaigning for Brian Callahan to keep his job. Pre-campaigning. And he's got leverage to do it. Now, if he plays horribly, it's not going to work out for him with that, probably. He'll lose leverage, and he'll probably lose his coach. But if Callahan does a reasonable job with him, no matter the record, he's pre-campaigned for it, and he's become part of this power structure, right? Brinker, Borgonzi, Ward. I don't think he'll be afraid to go to Amy Adams-Strunk. I don't think she'll be afraid to go to him. What do we need to do here? What do you want? And he's going to say, unless something big changes with him where he's got a moment that he loses faith in Callahan, in Holtz, in Hardigree, he's going to say, I want Callahan, Holtz, Hardigree. I want to keep working with these guys and keep going down this path. I do not want another change in my life. He's not going to say, it makes me happy to have Xavier Restrepo here. He knows who's good. He knows there are 7 guys on this team at receiver who are better than Xavier Restrepo. He knows it. It's not about keeping my friend. It's about keeping the best players. This isn't Sandlot where you pick and I pick, and I'm not necessarily going to pick the best guy. I'm going to pick my pal. It's minor league. Minor league. These are majors. This is big time. Keep my friend. Keep me happy. Keep my friend. Keep me happy. Given a big dose of truth serum, how long would the front office say it will take to get the roster culture program where they say they want it? How long do I think it'll take? Well, longer than this year. Roster, it shouldn't take as long as it takes. Got to get yourself some picks. Got to be influential picks in terms of play and culture. And then you got to keep filling in with these 1-year contracts until you stack it. It does not take so many teams so long, but I don't see how it's not going to take long here. So it's a 2-year thing now, and next year they can't be saying it's a 2-year thing. I think that's what they would say. That's definitely what I would say. What 5 receivers make the roster for sure? I mean, I'll give you 6 that make the roster for sure. Ridley, Lockett, Jefferson, DK, Io Manor. I would flip those 2 in the order. Io Manor, DK, Oliver. Those guys are all on the roster. You can't get away from it. I don't know why people are so insistent on talking about Jared Stillman. I'll go ahead and bring it up here. I have no interest in having Jared Stillman on here yelling. None. So back to the receivers. Ridley, Lockett, Van, yes. DK, Io Manor, you're forgetting. Oliver, Prochet, 7th on the outside. Special teams play will be much improved this coming season, but all depends on how Joey Sly plays out. Well, I mean, Joey Sly's been pretty good. He had missed an extra point. I mean, guys are going to miss something along the way. Here's the thing. We all thought Bill Callahan's unit. Bear with me for a second. We all thought Bill Callahan's unit was going to be excellent last year in his first year. Here comes a great coach with a long resume. He's got some better players, and he's going to make these bad players at least serviceable. Offensive line play will be much better with Bill Callahan in his first year. And it wasn't the degree better that we thought it would be. Now we're saying in the second year, guys like Kuharksy and Latham are used to him. He got a big addition in Moore. Cushenberry in his second year and recovering from injury will be much better. Zeitler's coming in, and he knows what he's doing with any kind of coach, and he'll understand Callahan. Well, we're saying Fossil in his first year as a much better coach than his predecessor will be great first time through. Do we have to be a little cautious there? I think he's superior to Ackerman. I think he's superior to Anderson. But does it change like that? Offensive line did not change like that. And Callahan, even better reputation than Fossil. Fossil, more moving parts, bigger change. Talked about what they do on punt coverage, pretty complicated. Guys are starting to get it. Just a question worth pondering, I think. Regarding Femi, it's worth remembering that we gambled on a project in order to get Winston in the third round. So waiting on Oladejo to emerge becomes more bearable if Winston makes an early impact. I think that's fair. Winston's early impact is now reduced because he's got a hamstring injury that's connected to the knee recovery, and it's been reported, and it's accurate. I think I'm not sure who had it, but I intend to credit, just don't recall who had it, that Winston initially felt some hamstring soreness connected to the knee recovery, and he didn't tell anybody. And then 3 days later, 4 days later, it got worse, and he told somebody. And then they were like, you cannot be toughing it out, Kevin. We don't think you're soft. This is a natural part of recovering from the ACL, but now you've set yourself back. And how far has he set himself back? Maybe enough that the early impact that you're looking for to offset waiting on Oladejo is effed up. Barton says DK has done absolutely nothing to prove he deserves a roster spot. If you're a fourth-round pick by the receiver desperate Tennessee Titans, you do not have to win a roster spot in your first preseason. And he's one of the 6 best receivers on their roster, for sure. But certain guys don't have to do a lot to be on the roster. They don't. Mullings hasn't done anything. He's going to be on the roster. You could say Hecker's been terrible, and they should go look for a punter. They're not. They know what Hecker is. They want him. DK's a rookie. It's a 4th-round pick. He's part of their long-term plan. Doesn't have to be immediately good on opening day. Doesn't have to have had a great camp to win a roster spot. Kane says, I personally think Lockett was the perfect vet receiver for the Titans to pick up. Seems like a great dude who's genuinely excited to play with Cam. Well, look, last year they had Boyd in the same role, right? Is Lockett a significant step from Boyd? You would hope so. Boyd offered nothing. And now I think Lockett's a better leader, a better player, a better resource, and all of those things. I think he would be good. Ed Henry's circling back to Sneed. Did he want to come back earlier? I think he wanted to come back earlier. I have no reason not to believe him at face value. Jackson Slater, how does he look to me? Michael asks. I think he looks pretty good. And I think they'd like to not play him this year. He will probably be active and he'll probably play on PAT and stuff like that. But I think the guy could replace Zeitler next year or conceivably Cushenberry. All right, we're about to wrap up here. Hard to look ahead, but doesn't next year, Adam asks, seem like a prime year to overhaul the running back spot? Pollard will be a free agent. Spears can't stay healthy. Mullings is a major question mark. I think that is probably the direction that they would go, unless they find somebody here early this in this transition period after waivers and stuff that they like who takes off. I don't think they'd like to spend high value on running back. 4th rounder, 3rd rounder, 4th rounder next year. 3rd rounder's got to be something more than Spears. You got to find a 3-down back. But yeah, somebody with juice at running back next year. Got to have a pass rusher. Got to have a wide receiver, running back. I'd put on there. List of needs is still longer than you'd want it. I don't know what Sneed being standoffish. Brandon says, wasn't it pretty known that Sneed became standoffish at the end of last year when they were losing and he was hurt? He wasn't around. Injured guys aren't around. It's standoffish. He went and had the surgery, the surgical procedure, the procedure with the shots on his quad. He was, away for the better part of six weeks at least there. Does that make a guy standoffish when he's not around? Cushenberry wasn't around. Was he standoffish? I mean, there was a lot of speculation about his interest level. If he's hurt, he's hurt. I mean, he wasn't faking his injury. He was hurt. He did not have knee surgery, Adam says. Sneed having knee issues now. Why is the knee still an issue after he had surgery? He didn't have knee surgery. Or did they say he had a knee cleanup? Had a knee cleanup. Well, when you've got a bad knee and you don't know how many cleanups a guy has had on it, it takes guys longer and longer to come back for that. And people are more and more careful with it. And what they're concerned about is him being ready for Denver. They don't give a shit about what he's doing right now. So that's the point. Hey, this has been terrific. Tell your friends. And for more, come check out Robbie and Rex Road tomorrow on 102.5 The Game in Nashville. You can continue to tell Chase McCabe there you want more of me, and I'll be doing that. Wish me luck tonight as I debut at Belmont University around the corner here. Hopefully the kids like me. I feel pretty confident I'm going to like the kids. Robert Draper, who I respect a great deal, says, glad to hear I'm inclined to be a tough-love J-School prof. Everybody remembers the teacher who demanded the best of them, and I think that is a great parting shot on which I shall leave the room. Robert, Carl Hulse was out with one of my fellow clerks last night as we had a text chain going and reminisced, and they sent a picture. Carl's hair looks a little bit like a hat. Tell them I said so. Don't block the box. Be sure to lock the locks. Come join PaulKuharksy.com. I'm dying to have you. Have a great evening and enjoy the game Friday night, everybody, for what's worth enjoying.